Hey, good morning. I'm in Bloomington, Indiana this week on the campus of the University of Indiana, and in setting up today, I'm even struggling to find the words of, in addition to finding the right angle and the right place and the right light, to try to find the words of trying to describe what I want to say about the idea that we all have this spectrum of roles inside of us. And I've talked about that before in terms of multiplicity and the different hats that we wear. But today I was trying to focus on the shadow side, the negative side, the scary side of those parts of us that we sometimes deny that we have. The simplest example that I can think of is Star Wars and the idea of the fact that we all have a piece of Darth Vader in us. And whether we like it or not, that shadow, negative, scary side that's able to be violent, that's able to be very, very dark, very negative, very controlling, very fierce, very disruptive and destructive. We each have a piece of that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is the more that I can be aware of that in myself and understand that I have that component, even if I don't choose it, whether I'm actively fighting against that shadow side of myself, it's important to understand that it's there, because by knowing that about myself, I can start to see it in others. The reason that that's important, and the reason I bring it up today, is because if I can have some compassion for that shadow side of myself, I can begin to have compassion for other people who are also struggling with that shadow side of themselves. It's an interesting observation, it's an interesting perspective, because if I can see it in myself, suddenly my reaction and my compassion for other people is able to increase. And we see this at the end of the Star Wars stories with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, of Luke understanding that even if Darth Vader is completely identified with that negative part of himself, there are still positive pieces in there. And he's able to have compassion for those negative pieces. It's an interesting thing. So the first step in this, my first request is it possible to see those negative shadow pieces of yourself? What do they look like? Where do they jump up? Where are your golems? Where are your very evil pieces of you? They're there, whether you deny them or not. Are you able to see them? Are you able to understand how they got there and why they're there? And we have a lot of our more recent movies and stories about trying to describe where our very evil characters come from. Then being able to see if that piece exists in me, can I also see it in you and in others? And being able to understand that those folks are trying to battle that, whether they know it or not. Take some time this week and think about that. Is it possible to see your shadow side, the really dark pieces? And is it then possible to see that in others and have some compassion for the struggle that they're having in trying to find that and battle that in themselves? I'd be happy to continue this conversation. It's a really cool thing for me, and to be able to watch folks see that for themselves and then shift their own perspective. I'd be happy to have that conversation and look at what that means for you. I'm John Rhoads. This is Rhoads Life Coaching. I hope you're able to find purpose and meaning in your daily life.